2 3-and-outs. Berry, 57-yard punt the last time. This one another good one. Caught over the shoulder back of the 6 by Wilson. Throws it back across the field where it's then juggled for a moment. And now the Cowboys are making a special teams play. Hurdling past. Then all the way down to about the 10-yard line. It's Goodwin. Well, that flag is at the end of the...
Really build off of what we've established the last couple of weeks. So really feel the defensive group, more comfortable. Obviously, just playing together, and I think we're past the spot where we're out there thinking. So special teams, we knew we needed a big player, two big plays in the game today, and we were able to get that on both the throwback and the kickoff return. So. A tough game, but once again it came down to taking care of the football. So we have to get rid of that. That has haunted us all year, and we obviously had more penalties than they did. So love the way the guys fight. Proud of what we had to go through to get to this point. We just keep having a challenge after challenge, and these guys keep answering it. So disappointed, very disappointed. I felt our players did enough today to beat an excellent football team. So, but that did not happen.
What's the key to life? Money, power, respect, what you need in life. Money, power, respect, what you eating right. Money, power, respect, money, power, respect, money, power,
hey, yo, my whole clique bout it. We take yours while you pout about it. Truck, step out, want a crowd around it. You can see me on Optimum TV. On your bathroom, turn the light out, scream, Bloody Mary. 1, 2, 3, chic ain't your usual.
Welcome to episode number 9 of the Truth Serum. Guys, I want to jump right into this and tell you the Cowboys played a heck of a game on Sunday afternoon, and I appreciate the Cowboys for what they actually showed us. A steely resolve, to use a random word. They put in a lot of work, and they showed us consistently that they're willing to fight. That's something that, honestly, from the beginning of the season, we have constantly pressed and pleaded with them to have is a hunger, a fight, a never say die attitude. We've constantly begged and pleaded for this team not to give up excuses and talk about how complicated the scheme is, to using the issues of COVID or circumvent the reasons behind them not putting the best effort on the football field. And that's what they did. They chose to do that for a consecutive amount of weeks to where it made Mike McCarthy have to sit back and wonder, what do I have to do to try to get this team to play at a high level? What do I have to do to get them to understand that taking care of the football is of the utmost importance? To let's force turnovers. Let's not kill ourselves with penalties and constantly making mental mistakes at crucial times. What can we utilize to get them to stay motivated when they're losing player after player after player that are starters and are key members of this team? That's what we wanted to see. And going against a team like the Steelers, the whole world was waiting for the bloodbath that was to come. Well, quite contrary, and I told you this last week on episode 8, that the Cowboys are going to keep competing. Somewhere along the line, they realize, look, certain players are not walking through that door. They're not coming off of injured reserve. Certain players are getting shipped out. They're getting cut. And certain guys are just going to have to step up and play, or they're not going to have a job. And with that kind of standard set, what you ended up seeing was that team going out there and playing hard against the Philadelphia Eagles. And I felt like that was a shift in the right direction towards them carrying on a bit of confidence and sustaining drives and creating more opportunities on defense and special teams to keep themselves in games instead of just bowing at the first play that they've given up or the big mistake that they've committed. And now all of a sudden they don't feel like that the game is worth playing or worth competing for. What you ended up seeing, ideally, is this team, no matter how bad it looked, they kept playing regardless. They kept playing, they kept playing, they kept playing, they kept playing. They kept making it easy for them to believe. And they kept putting doubt in the Steelers' heads that, oh, this may not be as easy as we thought. We might have to really scrap with this team. It ain't just us being undefeated and us just showing up, because this team on paper and on film looks like a JV defensive squad or a high school, college offense that's D3 or D2. Not to knock that level of talent, but you get what I'm saying. Like, it's not so much like this is NFL pros putting the best effort forward on the football field. So you can kind of catch the Steelers thinking like the fans were. What's the use? This is a primetime game. Whole world is watching, and the Cowboys are out without their starting quarterback, 80% of their starting offensive line. Their defense is porous. Their secondary is full of bodies. What is there for them to play for, right? Well, this is what McCarthy and his coaching staff were brought in. This is what they were brought in to do. Yes, everybody talks about Super Bowls. Yes, that's the ultimate goal. But when you don't have that, when you don't have players constantly available, what can you do to motivate those who are already there, who are ready and willing to compete? What can you do to get them to buy in and believe? That's what you were looking for. That's what McCarthy and his staff were brought in to build within this team. A new culture, a new accountability structure where the players can't just sit there and use excuses as to why they're underperforming. And that's what they carried out. The game hung in the balance. Yes, Steelers were having multiple opportunities, but few and far between did you feel like the Cowboys were out of it. It used to be just 2 weeks ago, going against the Washington football team, or even a week before that when they went against the Arizona Cardinals, they were already out of it by the second quarter. And it made zero sense for this team to be in the game for the first quarter, or at least the first half of the first quarter, and then before you know it, a couple of plays happen and then the game is over. And they're actually sitting on the sidelines with their heads hung low, just baffled as to why it's not working for them. Them going against Philly and them believing going against Carson Wentz, of course, gave them the element of fight. And what you'll see going forward is the same attitude. To make it plain and simple, the same attitude. Yes, there are going to be mistakes because you're not talented enough to overcome those mistakes, but you're not going to see a team cave in and quit. And far be it from me to tell you, that's where the team has to draw in their minds a line in the sand of who we're going to keep going forward. Are we going to keep players that make the same mistakes over and over again, or are we going to keep players that are going to find ways to make plays regardless of the circumstances? That's what they're looking forward to evaluating, or should be evaluating, going into the latter parts of this season. Garrett Gilbert, the quarterback that Mike McCarthy and Kellen Moore elected to start, they basically chose him because he kept showing command of the offense throughout the week of practice, more so than Cooper Rush, who was brought in as an emergency backup, and because Garrett Gilbert has had some experience in the league, and he played well. And they finally scored a touchdown after 3 games of no touchdown, going back to Philly, Washington, and Arizona, where they didn't score an offensive touchdown. 3 games. And you finally get one to, of all people, CeeDee Lamb. And after that, the Cowboys fans, like me and all others, were like, okay, they're showing the fight. And I told you guys the team wasn't going to quit. Just as long as they had an element of belief, they're not going to quit. They were just going to keep playing and playing and playing until something uncommon, fluky, or even a bad call, which I'll get to in a moment, held them back or ended the proverbial opportunity to win. So I feel like you have to give him some applause and give him a pat on the back for it, because what other quarterback did the Cowboys could trust that could step in and do that against one of the best defenses the league has to offer? I want to also applaud the Cowboys special teams, and that's going to be a part of my star up and star down. Okay, let's jump right into that. My star up and star down, first off, is special teams and defense. They held the Steelers to just 7 points on defense. Special teams, 4 field goals by Greg Zuerlein and this miraculous, I call it miraculous because Godwin literally could have dropped the ball on the throwback by Cedric Wilson, but raced 83 yards, and had it not been for silly mistakes that you preach often to football players about not blocking in the back of your guy who's you're set to block. Do not touch the back of his jersey. If you see the back name of his jersey, you don't touch it. You just let him go. Maybe the guy that's running, your teammates who's running with the football, can burn past him. Who knows? But do not touch him. Cowboys could have scored on that play, and that would have set off a trend of events that would basically keep the team ahead of the curve before things eventually may have broken down for them. But that element of belief, and credit to Bones Fossil, John Fossil, the special teams coach, who was getting a lot of noise thrown at him early in the season because he was trying fake punts and it wasn't working, and a lot of the decisions they were made with Tony Pollard coming out after kickoff returns, it was just like, what are they doing? You know, trying random things, or are they really having something set in mind for them to execute to be better on special teams, or are they just trying stuff? So I want to applaud them for that. Defense and special teams. We really need to appreciate Randy Gregory. Randy Gregory, man, has been a huge blessing because he's knocking quarterbacks out, whether that's Carson Wentz last week or Ben Roethlisberger this week. He's knocking quarterbacks on their back and making them having to get up and limp up and off the field and going to the sideline wondering, man, can we deal with this guy because we can only throw the ball. We can't really run consistently against this team, but for whatever reason, the Cowboys' run defense was a little better this week. Previous week, they had some mishaps, but it's getting better. Run defense is getting a little better. And once again, you're left with an opportunity with your offense. And because your offensive line featuring Terrence Steele, you're still dealing with that issue, and I still don't understand why they want to keep him out there, but I can't keep complaining about the same thing other than telling you he's bad. And he's going to keep being bad because he's not good. Let's just keep it honest. He's going to keep being bad because he's not good. So let's just leave it at that. And I'm going to just weekly bring it to you until he's off the field, telling you over and over again. Star down, penalties, 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 penalties. And a few things, yes. Jalen Smith, we can pick on him. I've been picking on him every week almost. But I feel like, just being honest, like there's no way that it's that easy to avert pass interference when a receiver is running towards you and he makes contact and he falls on his own and you throw a flag anyway. The NFL officiating has gotten worse and worse, and it seems like the Cowboys are our number one target. Yes, they are a bad football team from talent-wise, but that doesn't absolve the opponent that they're facing from not making a mistake. Unbelievable, weird, untimely calls to keep the Pittsburgh Steelers drive alive. And yes, it featured Jalen Smith, but there were times where in the end zone before Gary Gilbert threw a pick, our boy Amari Cooper was wrapped around and tackled by the defender and not one flag was thrown. Like, that is killing opportunities for a team that's already downtrodden. Like, you see what's going on. You see how it works against us, that we can't work with the limited talent. But when the defense that we're facing is egregious in their attempts to try to keep us from scoring, and you choose to overlook that, that's unfortunate. It's terribly unfortunate. And I will show you this chart. Pittsburgh sits at the top with penalty yardage at the least, where the Cowboys are ranked where at? Dead last. And I'm sitting here wondering what's the problem? Is the officiating biased towards Jerry? Is it a Jerry Jones problem? Do they like the Rooney family more and they like the Steelers of being about, just football strictly, and the Cowboys are so geared towards branding and marketing and entertainment and flash that they have a bias towards it? I mean, you tell me. If you got a comment or some thoughts, send it to me through my email, djfireproof86@gmail.com. You let me know what you think. because what I see when it comes to this officiating issue is that the Cowboys have some real untimely, unfortunate calls, and it's really hurting them in games like this where they have a chance. But I'm just going to drop a pin here and not complain too much and tell you that when it comes to getting those kind of calls, as much as I love Mike Tomlin and I respect the heck out of him, the Steelers won't survive long when it comes to stuff like this. It will eventually catch up with them, and they will fall short, and it will look like they were set up to lose, but they've been getting a whole bunch of fluky calls at timely moments to save their undefeated season. And then when they get in the playoffs, it's not going to fall for them the same way. It's called the law of averages. Naturally, whenever things go a certain way for you, there's always going to be an equal balance to counteract that. So I'm not going to sit here and complain about what the Steelers got away with. It always ends up working out that they don't always get everything just because they're getting it now. It's just an untimely trend that's spanning 5 years, different regimes, same head coach for the Steelers, different players, but the same element of favoritism flows from the officiating. It's untimely. And I feel like that's really hurting competition when you do things like that. Preview the Cowboys week ahead. They're going on a bye week. Much needed. Get some guys healthy. Get some time for them to sit back and study what they've been doing the past couple of weeks, to condense the playbook to make it a little easier for the guys who are clueless, and make it easier for them to understand what their job is at certain moments of the game. And then once you do that, then you gear up to deal with the likes of Minnesota and then Washington on Thanksgiving. And who knows, you might luck out a win out of that. I'm not so much worried about them winning games. I'm more so looking at how they compete. I love to win games. I'm all about winning. That's a big thing. But we've seen the Cowboys rip off win after win after win in 2016, and then they fall short in the playoffs. I'm wanting to see how their culture is. How do they handle difficult moments? How do they make adjustments? It's hard to see that now, of course, but what you really want to see is this team fight, and that's what they've been doing. And they got to keep doing more of that. That's going to set up a foundation and a culture that's going to help bring in more talent that understands the way things are done around here. When you have that mentality, the Cowboys tend to have more success. That's what you want to compare yourselves to with the teams that are seemingly always competing for division championships and making the playoffs. You're the Pittsburgh Steelers or the Seahawks, Packers, Patriots, any team you can think of that constantly makes it to the playoffs every year. They just there. Saints, you always have that mentality because it's always that next man up, and they don't believe in just one player over everybody. They have a galvanizing mentality of it's us against the world. Thank you for watching this week's episode of The True Serum. Hit me up like I said, in the email or even in the comment section below. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Well, give the Cowboys a week to sit back and assess this season. At 2-7, hey, they have a huge amount of confidence in themselves to fight. Let's give them more credit and belief that they can do it. Thank you for watching. Have a blessed week. Peace.